A few summers ago, I went on a group camping trip. 6 of us hiked all day, and by nightfall, everyone was exhausted. One by one, they drifted off into their tents. Except me. I stayed by the fire, scrolling through my phone until the battery died. Then I just sat there, listening to the woods. That's when I heard footsteps. At first, I thought it was one of my friends, but when I looked up, I froze. A man was standing at the edge of our camp. He wasn't one of us. His clothes were filthy, his hair matted, and he was just staring, silent, motionless. I whispered, "Hey, can I help you?" Nothing. He didn't even blink. I wanted to scream for my friends, but the thought of startling him made my stomach drop. So I pretended to poke at the fire while keeping him in the corner of my eye. 5 minutes passed, then 10. He didn't move, just stood there, breathing softly. Finally, I worked up the nerve to grab my flashlight and shine it on him. But the instant the beam touched his face, he was gone. No sound, no footsteps, just gone. I didn't sleep that night. And in the morning, when I asked everyone else, none of them had seen a thing. But as we packed up camp, I noticed something. In the dirt, just a few feet from my tent, were footprints, fresh footprints, leading right up to where he'd stood. But there were none, leading away. It was my second night camping alone in the mountains. I'd set up not far from the trail. As the sun went down, I lit a fire, cooked dinner, and for a while, it was peaceful, quiet, almost comforting. But then, something strange. Through the trees, far off, I saw the glow of another fire. At first I was relieved. Someone else was out here. But then I realized, when I hiked in, I hadn't seen a soul. No tents, no campsites, nothing. Curiosity got the better of me. I crept closer, flashlight low. That's when I saw it. A fire was burning, but there was no tent, no people. Just flames crackling in a perfect circle of stones. And hanging from the trees above it were clothes, old, dirty, torn, swaying in the breeze like they'd been left there for years. I stepped back, and the snap of a twig gave me away. The fire instantly flickered, like something had blown through it, but there was no wind. I ran, straight back to my tent, zipped it shut, tried to convince myself I was safe, but I couldn't sleep because I heard footsteps, slow, heavy, pacing around my tent, and underneath it all, carried through the trees, was the faint crackle of a second fire. A fire I never lit, a fire that sounded closer every time I opened my eyes. I went camping with 2 of my closest friends by a quiet lake deep in the woods. It was supposed to be the kind of weekend where you forget about everything. Just campfires, beers, and the sound of water lapping against the shore. That first night, after talking for hours, we finally put out the fire and crawled into the tent. The forest was dead quiet, almost too quiet. I lay there staring at the thin fabric ceiling above me when I heard it, come footsteps, slow, deliberate, circling the tent. I froze. At first I thought it was just one of my friends messing around, but then I remembered. We were all inside. The steps grew heavier, dragging across the dirt, stopping only inches away from where my head rested. No one spoke. We didn't even breathe. I reached for the zipper of the tent, ready to peek outside, but one of my friends grabbed my wrist and shook his head violently. The footsteps continued, pacing in a wide circle. Every now and then, we'd hear them stop, right at the flap of the tent, as if whoever, or whatever, was out there, was waiting for us to make a move. After what felt like hours, the sound finally faded into the woods. None of us slept that night. The next morning, we checked the ground, and that's when we saw it. Dozens of barefoot prints circling our tent. So, still planning that camping trip? Remember, sometimes the scariest thing in the woods is knowing you're not alone. If you enjoyed these stories, make sure to subscribe, because the next nightmare might be yours.